Okay, bam. All right, now it's recording. Perfect. Here we go. All right, so here we go. Let me add it on there right now. So now, seeing him do this and whatnot again, as we saw before, it's just like he really does love Trey Songz. He really does, because I don't even think Trey Songz, really adamant female fans would have a thing like this or whatever. I mean, he's just sauteing that thing.
Then he does the Salt Bay drip of the the salt on top of the bird.
I mean, this man is.
I'm also wondering, like, I've had raw chicken like slip onto my tongue, and it's not very tasty. So I'm not imagining. I don't know how he found himself in this predicament.
I just want. There's someone who is close to him who had to watch this.
And then his love truly of basketball, with him saying, "I love this game," represents it all.
And people in the across the African diaspora, we don't play with undercooked chicken.
No, yep.
We do not play. So I'm more upset on just a number of levels, from the under seasoning to the raw, the salmonella. Yes. I'm shocked and appalled. I understand why he is retired now. This is, you might as well just call that bird Sir Alex Ferguson. Like, I'm just
yes.
I'm done.
It was so bad that if I was a Liverpool fan, I would be like, Manchester United, you have to give away this title and give us an extra title now because of just that moment, because that's how I would feel for Lewis Hamilton, who's actually an Arsenal fan, even though he barely talks about soccer that much, but he's an Arsenal fan. He was so grotesque by that because Patrice Evra is his friend. He didn't even expect that or whatnot. So it was just a whole thing of just, let's just say Patrice, he's amazing. I love this game and whatnot, as he said, but that was the thing that all I can say is that Patrice, that's the moment that could end Thanksgiving alone, besides just anything with a BLM protest. I will tell you that.
How can you ever accept an invitation to a dinner party at the Evra house ever again? That's when you go to someone's house and they cook, but you didn't see them cook. Yeah, you can never go over for wings at the Evra house. Can never go over for Thanksgiving at the Evra house.
What did he do with the chicken before? That's not a part of the preparation routine, Patrice. That's the problem. And similar to what JP was saying before, if that chicken was seasoned correctly, it should have been yellow. Should have been yellow and yellowish brown, as opposed to just dripping a little bit of salt on it.
Well, all I can say is that the person that definitely would come over to the Evra house all the time, because they are global best friends on some truly, truly, truly African Asian solidarity, is Park Ji-sung. Because Park Ji-sung and Patrice Evra, all I can say is you two, both of them, their bromance is just so sensational. It makes Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming look like they don't even know each other. That's all I can say. And with that said, here's the start of the episode, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Jeremiah on this planet. Clutch has landed. Clutch, guaranteed to come. Ladies and gentlemen, Clutch, always reliable. Clutch, follow through on every plan. Clutch, all safe without all safe sponsorship right there. Andrew Jones right here. Americans Didn't Create Soccer, episode 5 with the good sir James Eddy alongside me with the great sir for the first time on here, Jonathan Friesler, who had to see my tech fail overall just now. So you are seeing people the live cut overall and how smooth it is, because that's how real we are with that. I can say the mishaps that I have, and that's why we made this such an appealing zone, hopefully for you. So, Sir Eddy, how are you doing today, good sir?
I'm pretty good. Today was a good day. Wasn't too hot. Saw that a hurricane might be coming to the East Coast, all the way up to New York and Boston, but it is what it is at this point. 2020.
Well, at least you said the Ice Cube quote, but at least you didn't have an earthquake that was in Los Angeles yesterday, even though it was 4.8, where they're like, whatever. And us in the East Coast would be like, oh my gosh, because I remember that in 2011. Actually 2011, one of the two. Jay Brees, how you doing, good sir? First time on this podcast, this growing podcast that is very melanin, which is not the case usually for many soccer podcasts, not only in America, but globally. Good sir, how are you doing today? Welcome with the full debuts.
I appreciate you guys having me. I'm honored to be here with you. How am I doing? 2020, another day marked safe from the murder bees. And it is FA Cup Eve. It's the eve of the oldest knockout competition in the world. So I'm doing good, and my team is in it. So I'm excited. Glad to be here with you.
Before we get into that, all I can say is that this podcast has already been a success because I actually hit the record button this time, people. So this is why it's been really a success now. And also the fact that JP's on here because of this special edition that he alluded to, because we have Chelsea and Arsenal in the FA Cup final, and making this even more special, this podcast episode, is the fact that Jonathan is an Arsenal fan and James is a Chelsea fan. And only one of these teams are going to win and get a cup or get a trophy for this season, a season that has been fully dominated by Liverpool, a season with both Arsenal and Chelsea. Well, at least Chelsea, no one really expected them to really win the Champions League, even though they still are in it all the way in August. It shows you how crazy this year is. And with Arsenal, well, the FA Cup was an Arsenal-like moment where it was like, well, is truly Mikel Arteta improving from Unai Emery's whole tactical boringness of nothingness. So now, out of nowhere, after the whole COVID-19 restart in the Premier League season, both of these clubs are on the upswing. Both of these clubs are truly, truly feeling good about their managers, at least collectively over there in England, where Chelsea people are feeling happy about Frank Lampard, club legend, and Robbie over in London, the good Sir Robbie or whatnot. He's definitely excited about Arsenal, at least compared to what Unai Emery was doing even at his height. So, JP, since this is your first time here on Americans in Great Soccer, how do you feel about Mikel Arteta's role, and how confident you feel that he's the manager to give you the nostalgia of Arsene Wenger, and thankfully the brilliance that you said before or whatnot, will at least maybe match it this time by me having this recording?
Well, in terms of Mikel Arteta, I am really optimistic. I really think that for a long time, Arsenal has had an issue where we've had a really decent collection of players as a squad, and we weren't able to get the best out of them. And I think about the challenges that Unai Emery had. And again, it's always, to give him some credit, it is always going to be difficult to be the man that comes after the man. So being the first manager after Arsene Wenger. But I think one of the challenges that he had was, one, communicating a consistent message. Two, what started off as flexibility, which is something the fans really wanted from Arsenal, not just having an open way of play when that wouldn't necessarily suit us. That flexibility ended up turning into not having a set identity. And that ended up making its way throughout the team. And really, I think he lost the dressing room. Mikel Arteta, on the other hand, I think he really has a set way that he wants to play. I think he's done an excellent job, not only communicating to the squad, but also to the hierarchy in terms of what he expects, to the fans about what he's going to deliver. And I truly believe that we're at a point with Mikel to where now it isn't a matter just simply of, is Mikel someone who can have the skills or the tactics to get the most out of the team, but is the hierarchy, is the club in a position and prepared to back him up? So when I think about it, we are a team and a club that, despite the storied history, we're not going to be able to have the cash infusion that a City would have. We're not going to have the marketing dollars that a Manchester United had. We're not even going to have the ownership money that a Chelsea has. So what we need to look at is, like, do we have a manager that, if given the right freedom, given the right resources, like Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool, like what we've seen Brendan Rodgers do over at Leicester, what we've seen Wolves been able to do on a very tight budget, where we can be smart in our recruiting, smart in the contracts that we give. I think Mikel Arteta is the man that can actually take a system of play, convey it to the team, and actually get some results. So I'm excited about Mikel. I think that he has a great opportunity, and now it's really the serve is up with the club and start seeing how we can actually match his ambition.
Well, it's funny that you say that with, Mikel overall, because I felt that he really, with how he was grooming under Pep Guardiola, that he definitely clearly had the manager still about him. And it's, manifested where they then beat Pep Guardiola, at Wembley a few weeks ago, where I thought that in terms of this final, with the semifinals fixtures for the Big Six clubs, that I either wanted it to be a London All Final or a Manchester All Final, and I thought that it was going to be a Manchester All Final, particularly with Manchester City, versus Arsenal, or I'm saying Manchester City, despite Arsenal trying to get this uptick, and this is before everything happened with Tottenham, that I thought that it was going to still be Man City trying to get that momentum into the Champions League. And then with them off the back of drubbing Liverpool, just to get some psychological edge against them that they were going to go through and whatnot. And, regardless of whether Manchester City was flat that day, which they were, whatnot, I mean, Mikel Arteta still showed the tactics required to go toe-to-toe, at least in that fixture against Pep Guardiola, where it wasn't like Arsenal was open. They weren't open too much. There wasn't no real mistakes and everything. I mean, he's made David Luiz, even though everyone wants to get on Twitter and joke on him every single time. But David Luiz, he's made him be as competent as possible. I still think David Luiz should be a holding midfielder, but he's made him as competent as possible, and he's at least always had, at least the dribbling or the overall ball skills, maybe like a Sergio Ramos, just not positional sense. So, so that's something where I was just impressed by the whole result and how they, finished the season in an upswing where people could say there was positive things to go through, on the Chelsea side, James, we talk about constantly how, Frank Lampard, for me, he has convinced me definitely. I still, as I said, feel defensively, there's still a major issue in regards to the side overall, just like it is with Arsenal, still a little bit. But that with Chelsea, I still feel that that's the thing that's truly separating them from getting to where United could really challenge both Manchester City and Liverpool at the start of next season, which is going to be next month once August comes tomorrow. And I just feel overall that that he's proven himself in that last match against Wolves on Sunday. That was a real, very match that Wolves could want to spoil the party and knock them out the Champions League completely in terms of next season. And he went and made the calls that he needed to make. Giroud instead of Tammy Abraham, making sure, and then the fact that Pulisic rested against Liverpool, but people were criticizing him and whatnot, saying, why is he in the side? And it was, to me, made sensible because you need to get Pulisic to rest. He's been injury prone, and you need him for the Sunday match where, Liverpool matches, we don't need to win that match, or we don't need to draw. But the fact that he was able to say, you know what, I'm still going to leave you out and leave you for Sunday, and how him and Mason Mount were instrumental on Sunday, I got to say, going at least in terms of scoring goals and motivating his team, Frank has that.
Yeah, I think similar to what we were talking about when we covered it. We covered last Sunday, just the Wolves game and talking more about that. I think similar to what JP was saying, I felt like Chelsea in the past would have lost on Sunday, and they probably would have lost in the FA semifinal as well. Because I think semifinal, because those were just kind of the matches that we would lose, right? Like it would be coming with some type of strategy where the manager might put all the effort towards either the FA or put all the effort towards making the Champions League. They never had the versatility to try to do both.
And real quick, you're saying that even with Conte and then, with like with Mourinho back, and then with Sarri last season.
With Sarri, yeah. It was, the thing was, I think JP hit on a really good point of just like understanding what your identity is as a team moving forward. I think that's the key thing, and that's what you and I are always talking about with Liverpool, and you were saying Firmino doesn't work, and I'm just like, that's their identity, right? Like,
and he definitely works as a great playmaking number 9. He just is an inconsistent finisher. Tamara, you better not watch this because you had a chance. I keep telling y'all, you will not win the title next year, Liverpool. If you don't get Cheryl Mobley or anything. But
talk to you. That's the point that I'm trying to make. I'm not gonna write them off and say there's no chance of them winning the league next year because Firmino, he doesn't do that much. So that's why I already believed in Frank just from even the way that they were playing early in the season. I didn't feel like this season coming in, Chelsea, we had a team that was gonna be guns blazing. We had the talent that was like, woo, yeah, we're definitely in top 4 and we're knocking on the door. It was like, oh, okay, I don't know what the hell this season's going to look like for Chelsea. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, now some of the young talent that you heard about was starting to develop. And you saw them playing with more confidence. And you saw Loftus-Cheek come back. And he came back, I think, with Conte. And it was like, there was this, when he was on loan, he was amazing. And when he came back, it was like, what the hell is going on? He went right back to what it was before he left. And you were just like, why did you bring him back if he's going to still be miserable and not perform that well? So it just was kind of head scratching. And then like when you heard that Frank was coming, I was like, okay, at least Frank is going to believe and we'll put a system in place. It honestly surprised me this season. And I don't know if it was with the Pulisic signing, but it honestly, I thought, we were the mid-table, honestly. And
you thought it was gonna be a mid-table,
Yeah, I think they had the talent, but the team looked so disinterested under previous managers. They just looked like they were like, "Yo, we'll ride this out to 4 to 5 or 6, and we'll be good, right? Like we'll Europa League, and we'll see where we go in the FA Cup." Like that's kind of how it was feeling for a little bit. I think.
That's so interesting hearing you say that because I think, and that's one of the things that makes this final even interesting, like the remit that each manager had in the environment that they came into. Because like I think people forget, like for Chelsea coming into the 2019 season, you all had the transfer ban. And Chelsea is a club that has had an incredible pipeline when you think about how much they make just on selling from their academy, people who are on the fringes of the team. And one has to wonder, again, Frank Lampard with what he did at Derby, like coming in, if it were Chelsea normal, they would have been the expectation would have been like, hey, we have the funds, we have the resources to bring in other people, and that has an expectation with it. This time, Frank comes in, he knows he can't bring anybody in, and he had the freedom to experiment, to give youth a chance that a normal Chelsea manager wouldn't have had that opportunity because they would have been expected to bring in the players that they spent all that money on. So now, a year into the job, almost over, I guess, truly a year into the job, with everything that's happened with COVID-19, Frank has now had the chance to really put his imprint on the team in a way that he may not have had if things had been normal, if it had been no transfer ban, if there had been no hiatus because of COVID-19. Conversely, I think people forget all of the things that have happened over at Arsenal in the 2019-2020 season. So we have and shout out to Gunner Blog and Ars Blog for covering this in just like a really succinct way. But
send them some checks for that shout out.
So when we think about the season, we had the Europa League final, which we will not talk about. Secondly, we had our best defender and captain at the time, right before going on tour, saying he didn't want to play at the club anymore. He wanted to go back to France with Laurent Koscielny. Then we had everything that happened with Unai Emery. Then we had our captain who wasn't even appointed before the season started, almost got appointed by default, and Xhaka end up going at the fans and basically going into exile for a period of time. Then we have COVID-19. Before COVID-19, then we have Unai Emery get dismissed. Then before we have Arteta, we have Freddie Ljungberg come in with no staff. We have Freddie come in with Per Mertesacker and a goalkeeper coach, and that was his staff. Then after Ljungberg does a couple of games, we bring Arteta in which City was not happy about how that went down right at Christmas time during the most
Pep was
period.
Yeah.
And then after getting knocked out of the Europa League, the very game that we get knocked out of, the team that knocks us out also gives our coach COVID, which suspends European play. So all of that has to happen for these two managers that have very rocky journeys. And I forgot to say, for Chelsea, you have Kepa, who essentially throws his other manager under the bus, who's still there. So literally, you have these two managers who have had these crazy journeys, who success is not guaranteed, because we've all seen players that become managers not hit it off, do pretty well for the circumstances to now meet in this one last chance to get silverware for the year. It's going to be an intriguing game, guys.
Well, I think that's the beauty, not to cut you off, Andrew. I think that's why I'm so excited, but I almost am just happy that they made it there, but I'll be equally happy for both teams, that no matter what the result is going to be, because the journey for both of them to get there was so, like, all over the place. You know what I mean? Like, it was such a unique and different journey. I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, we were so close to the FA and we couldn't. I think it's a little different for Arsenal, which is why
it is. You qualified for the Champions League, so you're like, right. I'll be happy for either team. I do not share that sentiment. We lose, so I will not be happy.
You were like, this is not. I need the cup. I need the record FA Cup title, whatnot.
Yeah, no, there will be no, oh, well, great job, guys. Like, while rational Jonathan will say, hey, it was a wild season. We should have brought him in earlier. We, as a club, we need European football next year. So I will just like, again, and that, but similar to Baku last year, you all had qualified. Everyone was saying like you had nothing to play for, but you all still delivered. This is just as important, if not more important than last year, for the future of, at least the near-term future of the club for us.
And that's why I kind of have you guys edging ahead. I think especially the way Arsenal won in the semifinal told me a lot. Just like the way they were coming out. And I was saying that to Andrew. I was like, the way they performed was definitely like, they were playing for something. And you could tell City got caught a little off guard that Arsenal came out playing for something in that way. I think City was thinking more of a relaxed, get into the game a little bit how the Chelsea United game was, where it was like, we'll get into it, we'll get into what this game is going to be, and then each team will kind of have their will. Whereas Arsenal was like, oh, okay, we got to get this money. Like, that's what it looked like to me. It looked like a bunch of street ballers coming together, and one team has perennially won the street ball tournament, and they were like, oh, we're just going to play this game on Saturday. And the other team was like, nah, we need this money. Like, we need this bread. And that's kind of what Arsenal came out with.
Yeah, you saying Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang was hot sauce or Skitsamanu or
Did you see the way those runs he was making during that game? Hell yeah, he was hot sauce. My man was running for, he was making runs for his life. Like that's the way it was. They came out so passionate, and it caught me as a fan off guard. Because I just was like, oh, okay, I was expecting them. And then I was like, okay, all right, they're pushing people off the ball. They're trying to earn that midfield play. The possession game, they were a little bit better on. Their counterattacks were on point. Like, they were from a performance perspective, they weren't playing as if they were afraid to make a mistake. They were playing like, this is the way we have to play to win. And if a mistake happens, so be it. But this is what's going to be our chance to win. And it was a very entertaining game. I'm hoping Chelsea comes with that energy tomorrow. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping my team comes with some of that energy tomorrow, because I think the way I've been reading about Sunday is kind of like everybody's kind of like the season's done, and I'm like, nah, it's not done yet, right? Like,
I'll tell you that with that manager, especially with the season in next month with Frank Lampard, he's not gonna be like,
I know he's not.
You know.
I know he's not. But it felt like everybody, and maybe it was because of the NBC sports coverage that I was watching on Sunday and into Monday, it was kind of just like, and Chelsea makes it to the top 4. I was just like, we still have work to do. And I think we owe it to Arsenal to play a really, really good game to play for that cup.
You don't have to. That's fine. If y'all want to take it easy, that's cool. You do not owe us anything in terms of the play.
That is definitely the spirit, and I am looking forward here, because now we get into how it's going to go, because I honestly feel, gentlemen, I'm, a little bit with James on this in terms of how because I was going back and forth and saying to myself, okay, I know I would say Big Six clubs here, London rivalry, once again, Arsenal, Chelsea, another FA Cup final between these two teams. So it's going to be a thing. What I can guarantee in this game first is that I will be very disappointed, as I was with Arsenal Manchester City contest, with City's energy, whatever, where if it's not a back and forth contest, because with the Man United Chelsea semifinal, that was because the lineups were different in terms of, okay, who are we going to play, who are we going to wrestle, whatever, we're thinking about top 4. But with City and Arsenal, I was a little disappointed in terms of how City was or whatever, but Arsenal showed great to me in terms of competence in the back, in terms of not any bad mistakes, not the thing that you need to not only win these trophies, but really be a legitimate elite team, and not just on the fringes of the top 4, but really be back to not only Premier League's elite, but one of the best teams in the world, really in the Champions League regularly and really as a contender. And but with that being said, I would still be surprised if with how Chelsea can be offensive against anybody, especially when Pulisic is in the lineup. And I would be surprised if both teams don't score at least, to be honest with me, like 2 goals, to be real with you. Because I think, honestly, especially with Arsenal having now a break after this, since they're not in the Europa League, and they don't have to worry about that. While Chelsea, it's weird for them because they're 3-0 down to Bayern Munich, and how they'll resume that for the Champions League overall. Shout out to Kate Abdo going to CBS Sports overall. We're gonna edit. I'm gonna air that, Kate. I'm gonna air the interview, right? But it's just something that I just feel that I would be surprised if it's not, still both teams really having a lot of chances. And I think that I just feel that Arsenal, especially with the goalkeeping situation at Chelsea at the moment, when Kepa has really been, this was an extraordinary stat that I told James, JP, that Kepa is responsible for 8% of the goals allowed for Chelsea in their Premier League history. And I'm like, he just got there. And I know, my goodness, and yes, not all goalkeepers for every goal is responsible for a goal. Most of them is because of defensive error. But for a guy who is record-paid as a goalkeeper, who was really great at Atletico Bilbao, and truly someone that was going to really battle with David De Gea, who has become David De Gaff again for Manchester United, he's really been just horrid, and it just has to wonder, will he even play tomorrow? Because he didn't start last week in Chelsea's biggest game of the season. And I don't think he's going to – I really don't think he's going to start. So, that's why I favor Arsenal because, despite Leno and everything with him and all – well, he's actually out, Leno, right?
Leno is out.
Yeah,
so it's going to be Martinez.
Martinez. Like, because Leno, that at Brighton was a weird situation at that. Martinez, okay, he's not – even though he's young, he's very talented overall, that – you still won't have him placed, obviously, in the top 5, top 10 keepers in the world. But I feel that there's more confidence with him. He
made a couple of good saves on Sunday. Not to cut you off, Jake. He made a couple of really good saves to keep to send down. Why am I blanking? We were just talking about.
Yeah. Troy, he was gonna hold down and say, "I'm not gonna play during this pandemic. Forget you, Boris Johnson." But then he went like.
So here's the thing. I actually have a lot of confidence in Martinez. I got a stat that I thought was super interesting. So he's only been in since post break, and after Leno got hurt. So he hasn't been in for that many games. He had a good run, but he hasn't been in for that many games. Only Hugo Lloris in this time has saved more shots on target than Martinez. So, again, I think that speaks for itself. And when we think about, again, I do think that for both teams, this is going to be a game that's going to be dictated by who is able to dictate pressure on the back lines. I think when we think about, I agree with you. I think that Caballero is going to get the start. But an interesting stat from Orbinho is Chelsea's goalkeepers have conceded 16 more goals than expected based on chances they faced. So, again, we know with expected goals and things like that, it's analytics and stuff. But, again, I think the goalkeeper matchup is going to be something that really dictates where I think that Martinez, he plays very well with the ball at his feet. I think he gives confidence to the back line. And if we're being honest, Leno he is not an automatic starter when he comes back from injury next season. He's going to have to fight for that place because Martinez has done such a good job. When you look at the lineups of the teams, you look at all right, where is there a weakness? Where is there somebody if I had my chance to switch him out with someone else, who would that person be? And Martinez, from his performances thus far, isn't on that list. He's not someone that you look at as a weakness in the team. So going to your earlier point, Andrew, about why this game is so interesting from an Arsenal perspective is Mikel Arteta is going to have to strike the right balance. I think with both when you're playing Liverpool, when you're playing City, 100% you are giving up possession. You know that you're going to have to be very organized in terms of how you press, how you marshal the field, but you're going to be on the back foot for a long period of time. I firmly believe that Chelsea has more, again, we just look at the squad top to finish. I think they have more influential players, more ball carriers that can really impact and make a difference in the middle of the park and as well on the wings. So I think it's going to be something where Arsenal is not going to have the majority of the possession, but Chelsea, with all due respect, isn't on the same level of City or Liverpool in terms of just that all-out blitz where you can be out of the game in the first couple of seconds, knock on wood. I think it's going to be more so it's going to come – this game is going to go –
You don't have to knock on wood. They ain't going to do it tomorrow.
I think this game is going to be dedicated – it's going to go in
way – I don't want to cut you off, JB. It's not that I don't have confidence in them. I know my team. They're not moving forward that way. They're not going to all attack, pressure you unless you're like Bournemouth in your bottom table in the Premier League. When they're playing the top 6 to 8 teams, it's more tactical, similar to what JP was saying before. We have to catch the possession and draw out a mistake from you and maybe take advantage of some of our opportunities as well. It's not a synchronized, like JP was saying, with City and Liverpool, you're getting hit. You're getting hit hard. And you got to weather that.
It's going to be interesting because you got two teams that do some of their best work on the counter. So who's going to be the one to say that I'm going to take the initiative? That's why I think from an Arsenal perspective, it really is going to be about, if I'm just guessing, I think it's going to be about we're going to have to concede some possession, but we have to be able to understand that when we are in the ascendancy, when it goes into that wave where it's all right, well, they've had the ball for so long now, they're taking their foot off the pedal for a bit, that we make the most out of that ascendancy and are clinical. So again, when we think about the City game, it's just an example. This sounds so cliche. I feel like I'm the Saturday morning NBC correspondent, but it's goals change games. And as cliche as it is, if we look at the City semifinal, when Aubameyang got a pass from David Luiz basically in the middle of the park, he splits open the defense. He's straight on with the goalie and he shoots it straight at the goalie. Then everyone from the Arsenal side is that was our chance. We may not City may not give us another. We may not have another one of those. Now, luckily, the second chance that we ended up getting, he puts away. The third chance we did end up getting gets put away. So out of 3 shots, I have to go back and look at the game, but the shots on target weren't that big. So it was about being clinical. But if he doesn't make that first goal, doesn't make that second one at the timing that it hits, at the opportunity, then I think, again, you have to weather a whole lot. And as a former defender myself, once you get that lead, that re-energizes you. That gives you like, all right, I can take a little bit of pressure because now I have something to protect versus having to go against the wave after wave. So in summary, like, I think this is going to be an interesting game to see like who's going to take that initiative because they both are so good on the counter.
They are, but this is a big boost that I was wondering if he was going to be available for this game, and now it throws me in a thing because, my thing with that in terms of with Chelsea is I've stressed overall, it's not only center backs that are the issue, but it's the fact that whenever N'Golo Kante is out, then they truly don't have a true holding midfielder that's about destroying, about just defending and being a real defender, before attacking, because Jorginho, wonderful passer, truly your passing's great. This is why he's there, because Mauricio Sarri bought him for Napoli. But when he tries to, like, when someone's coming at him, dribbling, and this was evident against Liverpool last week. I mean, they went right at him on the counter, and the man was a turnstile. He was a matador. He was like, here you go. Like, go this way, pass me. And it's just that protection, whether on a counter from a corner or just in general protecting Rudiger or protecting Christensen or protecting Kurt Zuma. It's just something where I just feel that Lampard, he to me, they needed to really address that more in the transfer window before getting Timo Werner, Hakim Ziyech, and what they've done with that, because they have enough going for it. They certainly do. Even any consistencies with Tammy Abraham and then Giroud, he's at a certain level where he's still good, and especially at this level still good, but he's not someone for an elite club that's an all-out starter if you want to win something. So the fact that they're getting N'Golo Kante back for this now really now makes me think about this a lot now, because, the balance for Arsenal was there with Xhaka in the midfield. Even though Dani Ceballos is a good passer and really can do it, but the Xhaka is still the guy in the midfield that when they're organized, they can not be leaky themselves, even though Mustafi and Luiz can always make their mistakes. So that's why now when N'Golo Kante back for this, and me just checking it now, it's really hard to really call this overall. Now, I think him being rusty will be a factor, and that still, for me, does not tip the scales in Chelsea's favor, where I think Arsenal would do it, because I just think that they're just more solid from goalkeeping situation. Even though Caballero is a good veteran, a very good veteran for so many years for, quality goalkeeping going all the way back to when he was at Espanyol La Liga, that I just still see problems with Chelsea's back line where Arsenal, they can, even if Chelsea scores on them, I think Arsenal will still be able to get their chances, especially with Aubameyang or Lacazette or young Sakho, and then them going forward. Tierney, I mean, they go, and that's going to be fascinating, because both teams with their fullbacks want to go forward. Reece James against Tierney, that's going to be fascinating tomorrow. And then who's going to help double team when it's Pulisic or Sakho or Aubameyang, like going after their fullbacks. So whether it be Azpilicueta in Aubameyang. So this is something where I'm like, man, this is, all I can say is that, damn it, this needs to be on regular ESPN, not ESPN Plus. Even though I bought ESPN Plus, it's annoying because then I have to look at my laptop because my Amazon remote doesn't work anymore. So it's like, it's really ridiculous. So come on, people. Come on, y'all. This is why we don't have the Super Bowl streamed exclusively, so we need to have the FA Cup on television.
Yeah, but you answered the question. You already know the answer to that question, Andrew. You got people. This is the Super Bowl for sport that is still considered not a part of the Big Four in our country, and it's going to be aired at in the midday slot.
Soccer is number 3 overall realistically. Now MLS, and we could get to that the latest session. All I can say is Aaron Bronson. He's a real talent for Philadelphia Union, definitely. But so for MLS again.
So is their domestic cup, right? So it's not, you're not attaching it to the business of a league as well. You're attaching it to the history and the legacy of that country. So I think that also ties a lot into it as well. And the timing of where it's going to be played, when it's going to be played, it is from a sports business standpoint, depending on what's going to be aired on ESPN. And I think, is it NBA from 12 to 9 to 10 tomorrow? I think this is the first. And then hockey's also going to be doing the same, something similar from like 12 to 9. Yeah, I think this might. Yeah, I think tomorrow might be like the big day for when all the sports are going to be whole day. So that's my pushback. I agree with you. It should be on ESPN, but I'd rather watch it on ESPN Plus than on the SEC network or like ESPNU or ESPN News. And like, I completely forget about it because like for me, it's appointment viewing. So I know I have my setup with ESPN Plus and I'll go and do that. And if you need a code, maybe you can hit me up. But like,
I already bought it. I concede it because I want to see these Serie A finales too. And well, it's not gonna be a exciting Serie A because Juventus won the title. We all know it's gonna finish top 4. And I think we all know it's gonna get relegated. Good job, Italy. So I think honestly, where despite everything, England with COVID-19, UK in general. And compared to here, here that we're getting sports back, even though we haven't contained the disease, but that's a whole nother story. Here they have their issues definitely in the UK, but I guess they earned it or whatnot, not like Germany, but that Germany's earned all the way. But I think it's gonna be 3-2 Arsenal tomorrow, guys. What's your score prediction?
You think 3-2?
Yeah, I'd be surprised if it was just a 1-1, even 1-1 game, because I just feel, even though Arteta is definitely organized, the way that I feel that Chelsea still are so good going forward, especially with Pulisic, in his form, looking like a taller version of Eden Hazard, which is something that I didn't think I was going to say during the first year for Christian Pulisic. And then Mason Mount, outstanding last week, where he's definitely now back on top form. Whether it's Giroud or Abraham, I feel that Giroud definitely showed that he's always ready to do it, especially against his former club.
It's definitely going to be Giroud up top. All right. James, give me what your starting lineup is in your prediction, and I'll give you mine.
Okay. All right. So I got Caballero. I got Rudiger. Who's going to be number 3? I know Azpilicueta is going to be on one of the wings, on one of the left or right backs. Mm-hmm. Ooh. Who's going to be
you going with 3 in the back? You going 3 in the back or 4 in the back?
No, they're going to have 4. They're going to have 4, and one's just going to keep going forward. I think Conte – I'd be surprised if they start Conte tomorrow.
You got Zoom.
I think
– Is Zuma available? Zuma's available, right? He's not hurt.
Yeah, Zuma's available. So Zuma is going to be on one side. I think Conte comes in late. And I'll tell you why he comes in late. Okay. I think Jorginho's going to be in there somewhere. I think they're going to start Mount. I think Pulisic. I think Giroud's going to be up top. I'm trying to think who else we got on the race. I think everybody else.
Reece James on the left.
Yeah, I think Reece James is going to be on the left tomorrow. Definitely. Right. Who?
And it's Azpilicueta on the right.
Yeah, I already said Azpilicueta. We definitely know he's a mainstay. He's been there. That's one name that's written in like the most permanent Sharpie ever. Yeah. I'm trying to think. So, yeah, I have Pulisic in. I got him pairing with Giroud. So Pulisic's going to be right behind him. And who else is going to be up with Pulisic?
Well, you got Mount. So this thing. So
Mount and James. So yeah, we're good. I got mine. That's who it is. And I think Conte's going to come in. I think what's going to happen is I have a very, very Like, this is what I see is going to happen. I think Chelsea's going to come out. It's going to be competitive. I think Chelsea's going to make a mistake. I think Arsenal has been converting very early in the last couple of their form has been saying that they've converted very early. So I think they're going to get an opportunity. And one of their early chances, they're going to get an opportunity. I think Chelsea's then going to be looking for the goal. And I think they're going to get the goal, and it's going to be tied 1-1. I think Arsenal's then going to go ahead and push more and push ahead. Chelsea's going to try to weather the storm. That's when they bring N'Golo Kante in to try to deal with that. Either it's going to stay 1-1 and Arsenal's going to get a late goal to make it 2-1, or Arsenal's going to get a second goal. Chelsea's going to be pushing, and then on a counter, they're going to lose 3-1. That's what I got.
3-1 to Arsenal. Whoa, JP, how's Arsenal going to line up for you tomorrow in your mind?
So I appreciate the reverse jinx. The quality reverse jinx. I know it when I see it.
You peeped it, JP. You peeped it. Them in Dorchester.
So I'm gonna give you before I give you my starting lineup. I'm gonna give you a little FA Cup history.
Wait a minute. Time constraints, sir. Time constraints.
All right. It's gonna be quick. I gotta let you know about the Arsene Wenger Invitational.
I was waiting for this to come. I was like, I know. Go ahead, JP.
This is Arsenal's 21st FA Cup final appearance. Won 13. Won the last 6 of our FA Cup finals. This is the 3rd time we've met Chelsea in the final. We won 2, lost 1. So here is my starting lineup. This is why I think it's going to be interesting, because I think we are both teams that work on the counterattack. Like I said, I think we're going to go with the same formations against each other too. I think it's going to be. I agree with that. It's going to be a 3-4-3. We got.
You got 3-4-3.
You go 3-4-3. You think they're going to be confident enough to leave those back lines like that?
But so the reason you've had David Luiz on your team, he needs that support of having 2 center backs next to him. The goal is going to be like the wing backs are maybe more back than wing tomorrow, but they're going to be. The idea is the wing backs are going to have to be there to make sure that they're tracking the runners, like your Mount, tracking the runners, like Pulisic if he's starting. I actually don't think he's going to start, but that's another thing.
What?
So my top, I don't think he's going to stop.
Are you wild? He said he's 100% fit.
I don't think he started.
Got that respect. Well, they don't even say American anymore. They're like, he needs to start now on Twitter. What?
Hey.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me give you my list. So, my back 3: David Luiz, Kieran Tierney, Rob Holding.
Rob Holding?
Because we're going 3 at the back. Bear with me. Our wing backs are going to be Bellerin and Maitland-Niles, so they're going to be there trying to cover.
You got Maitland-Niles there?
I was hoping Maitland-Niles got love, but you think he's going to leave Tierney on the bench?
No, Tierney is in the back 3. Tierney is going to be one of the.
You got Tierney in the back 3.
Sorry. So Tierney's in the back 3.
We got Bellerin and Maitland-Niles as the wing backs.
Wow.
We got Xhaka and Danny Ceballos in the middle of the park, and then we got your normal top 3 of Aubameyang on one side, Pepe on the other side, Lacazette through the middle. But I think the goal is going to be, again, the idea is going to be that we're going to give a little bit more of the ball to Chelsea, try to use Lacazette as almost an inverted forward, really trying to hold up the ball, similar to the role Giroud played for a number of years, hold up the ball, use the overlap of either the wing backs to then get Pepe and Aubameyang like in the zone.
So good sir, you think Pepe, because as the season is going on, I almost said to myself for a second, Nicolas Pepe still, the quality signing that he was or whatnot, like he really was replaced, honestly. And
I think I agree with you in a lot of ways. I think Saka with someone who's been pushing. I think Reece Nelson could be pushing, but honestly, I think what the goal is going to be is to be quick on the counter, to leverage, try to have, again, Pepe is still really good. Like that's where Pepe shines on the counter, where he can run at people and he doesn't have to hold the ball as much.
I was just saying, holding ain't his thing. Holding's not, if he get once they get going, similar to what you said, I think similar to what you just were saying, both teams are coming forward with that same type of style the key is I don't think Frank knows he can't try to play that tomorrow. That's probably the style that Chelsea would want to lean on, but they can't. If they have their chance, I don't think they can go with the holding the same style that Arsenal. They have to concede that to Arsenal, understand that they're going to have to build more and be kind of team on the ball a little bit more. So that's kind of why.
Oh no! I was going to say is like the one reason why I think that I would not be surprised if Pulisic starts. I think he's earned it. The only reason why I think he may not start is that Frank may want to keep him as just that impact player to come in, and if the game needs to be changed, like Pulisic can do that more than he can still get a lot out of like a Willian. He can still get a lot out of any of the other players that he has on the wing. I think he would look at especially when we saw it in the Liverpool game. He single-handedly was able to like just flip the game on its head. So I think the final score 2-1 to the Arsenal. These games generally, these games generally, the winner has averaged about 2 goals. So I think tomorrow it's going to be 2-1. I think first goal is going to be really big because that's going to because everyone's trying to be on the counter, that's going to force the other team out. So it's we're going to either get a cagey match or we're going to get one where it's going to be, like you said, it's going to be an NBA street game going back and forth. But I'm picking 2-1 to the Arsenal. Mikel Arteta becomes the first club captain to win it as a player and then a coach. That extends the lead to 14, and the Arsene Wenger Invitational comes back home.
Oh my goodness, Jason.
I have Hudson-Odoi as my impact player coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they leave Pulisic out there. I think they'll take Willian off and bring Hudson-Odoi in to try to use that channel because he brings a lot more.
Yeah,
he can help out he's a little bit more understanding with his defensive responsibilities as well. I think him and Conte back there are like, rough you up, we'll get it back. And
yeah. See, that's why for me in this real quick before we just go quickly to next topic to close this tremendous classic show out. I believe for first with the Pepe Sacco thing, I mean they are invested in Bakio Sacco so much and love him so much in terms of both Aubameyang, Lacazette. They already consider him like a little brother that they already gave him the number 7 jersey right now where he went from 77.
Oh, he has number 7 now?
Yes, he has 7 officially now. And he is really, they didn't expect, because they like Pepe, this is our big signing. He's going to be the guy, whatnot, with Lacazette and Aubameyang, this magical front 3. And they didn't expect Sacco to really push up because the youngster that was supposed to push up for Arsenal was Reece Nelson, as you mentioned, JP. And Nelson was tremendous for Hoffenheim this last season, or at least season and a half ago. So, Sacco just came, he just risen out of nowhere and whatnot, and Sacco has risen out of nowhere, at least at this level, where it's gonna be fascinating to see because they had this chemistry with Saka, and it's a lot of choices of both managers, honestly, attack wise, and how that's why it's so exciting. With Chelsea, the front 4, I do think because Willian, this could be his last game for Chelsea. Still, he didn't, now he's saying that they're hoping that he signs a 2-year contract, but you're bringing in Hakeem Ziyech, and then you got Hudson-Odoi.
I was about to say, I don't think Frank is trying to move in that direction anymore.
Yeah, you're right. Now he was talking about him today like it was all, he's been a great servant for the club and great, and everything like this. So that's why I think he starts. But so I think it's Giroud, Willian, Pulisic, and Mount. And then it's going to be intriguing to see if it's going to be of the 2 or 3 is Jorginho, Kovacic, Conte, and saying because Loftus-Cheek deserves to be thought about as well too. But
I think he comes in for why am I blanking on the last name that you just said?
Is Kovacic?
Yes, Kovacic. Because sometimes Kovacic looks really run down and tired. He gets really sloppy.
Yeah. Well,
I see Loftus-Cheek coming in there. Him and I say this, if they're gonna make the substitution, it's him and Hudson-Odoi, and those two do really good work. I see that, and then Conte comes in to replace Jorginho as well, because Jorginho's he's going to factor in the first goal that's given up by Arsenal. If there's an early goal by Arsenal, Jorginho's going to play a reason as to why it's happening.
Will be the turnstile that is the Jorginho all the way. And just to close on this, with Mateo Kovacic, the reason why I side there is because this is an example, and this is why I hope it doesn't happen to Alphonso Davies, even though he's the best left back in the world. And it's just something where Kovacic was literally, when he was rising in Inter Milan, him and Mauro Icardi, they were literally like playmaker, forward, playmaker, play finisher. He was literally a number 10. And when he went to Real Madrid, he was ruined by Zidane because they had too many midfield qualities. And then he had to be a box-to-box midfielder, and he's never been the same. He was one of the last real number 10s in the middle, playmaker, not cutting inside as a winger. And even in the great Lionel Messi, cuts inside a lot because he likes to be outside. But it's just something where he was really middle. Him and Cardi, great chemistry. All knows that Mateo Kovacic, his career makes me sad because he really was a great playmaker back in the day Inter Milan, and Real Madrid kind of ruined him. So these last quick topics, good people, good sirs. About first the Premier League team of the season. In my mind overall, particularly first off, JP, we made fun of Jordan Henderson being player of the year. So, man wasn't even the best holding midfielder on the scene. I love Jordan Henderson from Sunderland, but come on now. Fabinho was a better holding.
Okay, if you're on the bet, this is like, I feel like you all are about to go into an NBA MVP kind of conversation. It's like, all right, is it you were the best player, or does it mean that you were the most impactful player for your team?
Even that, JB, first we know Trent Alexander-Arnold was truly the man this season over Mo Salah, Sadio Mane. That young man, let's just say Trent Alexander-Arnold, you deserve all the bottles and the models already at 21, sir. He is legally aground, so there you go.
He's good on both of those.
As I said, that's my slogan. Some players deserve all the models and the bottles. It's just the reality of the situation. He and Kevin De Bruyne obviously should have been the choices or whatnot. I will say this though, because literally, I mean, in terms of running through the team, obviously people may not be fans of Jamie Vardy for past reasons or whatnot, but he had a tremendous season. Aubameyang has to be on the team. I'm trying to think on the right side. Well, all I can say is that Aubameyang, Vardy, De Bruyne, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and then Virgil van Dijk, obviously. I use Gomez. Hell, I give the whole Liverpool back line. Put the whole Liverpool back line there and Alisson back. Well, I will say this for goalkeeper. This is why England, Gareth Southgate, he had sense or whatnot. Jordan Pickford had a poor season for a lot of people saying this. Had a poor season. Made mistakes even in the restart. Nick Pope from Burnley, I'm telling you. I mean, this guy was so good that he prevented Liverpool from winning all the games for Premier League. I mean, he was John Oblak good. So he's actually, for me, after Alisson, I would actually have him in the team as team of the season because he was fantastic all season. So and then the rest of the midfield, I mean, Lord. I don't want to put Bruno Fernandes on there because he just got to United, but he turned them around really.
He did. I was gonna say. Really that's a tough one.
Yeah, you might have to rethink that one.
He really did. Well, the center backs, I have to respect because overlapping center backs, they have to get on. They have to be part of the team. Well, no, I mean, okay, Gomez has to go and run the Sheffield United. Because who thought Sheffield United? Sheffield United, with basically a full British team, was going to be in the Europa League places when they were.
Don't sleep on that play style, Andrew.
It showed that an English manager can be innovative. Or, Eddie Howe, I respect all the way. Bournemouth did face the drop for a reason. So, I mean, it's something where I got to figure out really the midfield still, honestly, after De Bruyne. And maybe I will put Fabinho in there, honestly. I really would.
He had a good season.
He's the best, better than Jordan Anderson, and I like Jordan Anderson, but hell, we might as well put Jordan Anderson on there too, whatever. Like, and just wrap it up with that overall. Final thing, good sirs, with the Champions League coming back, first time a farewell to BR football coverage of. I thought it was gonna laugh, and it's good because I can probably laugh about this, and a lot of people because I felt so bad for them, honestly. I really truly did, and then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna watch it on Univision and Galavision and be like, I get 3 games. It was just they tried.
They did that. They did it. They tried to move the coverage to like online. Like, this is what gets me mad with Bleacher Report and TNT Sport and Turner Sports business model, right? They like try to take advantage of their online media marketing. And it's like, dude, you were talking about, I try to describe the Champions League to like layman people, right? Like to people who don't watch,
after all this time,
who don't watch football at all. Have a league, right? Like it's like they have a league where like the champions of this league. I was like, there's nothing like it in American sports. And because there's nothing like it, it's like when you do something online, you're gonna get the avid supporters who are gonna turn in. No. What they should have done is try to get new supporters.
True. I was going to say the unpaid football championship of the NCAA.
Well, then that I was going to say, and then that's what made it 10 times worse. It's like you give people a taste, and then you put it behind a $3.99 paywall for a specific game. It's like, my dude, I'm just going to go watch the highlights on YouTube. It's not that deep. Like, especially because the next leg is not going to be played for another month. So we're going to talk about it, digest it. I'm going to get to watch the game, and then I'll just follow it live. Like, the model, I also am partial because I watch mixed martial arts, and this is a segue. And they bought ONE FC, and ONE FC used to broadcast all of their fights for free on YouTube. And then they bought ONE FC, and then they were like, you can watch it for free. And then slowly it started to drift behind a paywall as well. And I was like, wait a minute. Like, when you have a product that's not in America and not mainstream, you cannot put that product behind a paywall. Like, what are we doing? This isn't boxing.
All I can say is a good sir, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. I felt bad for him on that one.
Well, that's how they got them. That's how they got the money, because that's the other thing too that gets me so frustrated, because Turner pays such a large lump sum up front, right? So Champions League couldn't, like, when they were looking at the bids, Turner's money that they paid, what they paid was almost comp to what they paid for the NCAA tournament. And I think they wanted to move that behind a paywall as well.
Oh, God.
But the people got so upset about that, that's how it ended up being. You get the first round tournaments on True TV. It's because people were going to have an open revolt on the NCAA, and the NCAA came back and was like, no, you can't put this on BR Live and have people. Not only that, BR Live crashes. So then you're paying $4 and then crashes.
Wow. Like, hey, James, and you're not even on Twitter. I feel bad for whoever is in there because they don't want to look at their Twitter. It is just brutal every weekend. JP, if you have any thoughts on the TV side or not, because I actually like, even though I like Steve Nash, I feel Stu Holden is underrated. Even though George D. Marcellus cannot stand Stu Holden for Stu Holden trying to make like money and whatnot. So George definitely is like F Stu Holden or whatnot. But it was just something where, I mean, it was so bad. It was something that was like, who is the producer that got the power to do this? Because they went and had on Edgar Davids. And Edgar Davids, and I still got to actually interview the kid or Maurice do about how awkward it was. But Edgar Davids did not care to be on set. He had no energy. It was so...
Yeah, I feel like that's something that just as a country, because we to our credit, like we do sports media like in a very unique way in terms of like the when we do care about a sport, we make the production like over the top and stuff. So like we have the capacity to do it well, but the sports that we do it well in are the ones where we have been we're either A, number one in it, or B, it's America is the primary sport location for it at the highest level. So I think it's still something where we're trying to get on board with this media landscape where it's like, hey, there's this product, the best examples of it are in time zones that may not be the most convenient for the way we've typically done things. But I'm just of the opinion now, like COVID, as with everything, is really going to force people to reevaluate all this content and think about like what we're going to do to really make it to where, as a user who we know people are cutting cords left and right, we know that more players are getting into the space like Disney Plus and all this kind of stuff, whether it's a legacy company or not, just everyone's just going to have to really just reanalyze how they're approaching the sports landscape, because sports because it's live, it's one of the last sort of things where you can get like that ad dollar at a premium if you're an advertiser. So like that's why everyone's, even the NBA, where we would 10 years ago, if I had told you you're going to have like brand names on the sleeves of NBA jerseys or like right over the NBA, under the NBA logo, you would have thought I was crazy. But I think COVID's going to change it all. I think we're really going to start to see, like, even with football, like the networks are going to have to change, because there are just some sports where I think this is going to really impact like how even the NFL, where it's like they've had this, we're bigger than anything, we'll do what we want. Like I think even they're going to have to reevaluate like the contracts that they do with these networks.
Well, yeah, I fully agree with you all the way, and it's just something where Stan Kroenke, would be like, well, I'm glad I have Arsenal because the St. Louis Rams, St. Louis, Lord, Los Angeles Rams,
LA, sir. And I'd like to apologize because after how bad I just eviscerated Turner Sports, I'm sure they're not going to hit us up about doing any type of work with it.
They know, especially in terms of how the Turners, one thing with them, with ESPN, the Coles, like they really, even ESPN now, any constructive criticism, they really are like, because they hear it directly, and they're like, we need to do this really the best, and what you're saying is very rational, and
it was like I tried to watch games in the midday on TNT, and it just didn't work. Like it didn't stream.
Think about it. So, and it's gonna be weird because like with CBS, being still Viacom, and Turner still having sort of a deal with Viacom in terms of the tournament, that's why they're gonna have the games on stream, or when they, after this crazy conclusion to the season, like when it becomes next season. It's just the realness of CBS, and then are the games gonna be on CBS Sports Network? And that's gonna be a thing where it's like, are we going in the same rabbit hole where you're gonna have to watch Univision, Galvision, get my Espanol on all the way? So that's the real question about it, and that's the real thing. Well, fellas, it's an amazing one and whatnot. I just really appreciate both of y'all all the way, especially you, Sir JP, where I hope this is the first of many, because they just added on there, especially I didn't have to have any moments where I needed to get a joke out of nowhere. I just
I got one last joke for you.
Yes, sir.
So here's the joke. Brendan Rodgers won 3 out of his last 14 Premier League games to cost them a Champions League spot.
Don't do that. Oh my, JP, Arsenal fans,
not everybody.
Liverpool fans are so over. They're so like Jurgen Klopp is here, and but they make fun of Brendan Rodgers. But Brendan Rodgers, if it wasn't for a Steven Gerrard slip, he could be the one that's lionized at Liverpool all the way. It's just like Brendan Rodgers is a great manager.
3 wins. 3 wins out of the last 14 games.
14.
All I can say is that if your wingers are not Raheem Sterling or Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, but Damari Gray, who let's just say the end product is severely lacking, is going to come at the end of the season. And then when you have a Mason Greenwood breathing down your neck, and then Kristen Phillips is rising and whatnot, it's only inevitable. It's only inevitable. They finished fifth. We got to respect Brendan Rodgers. They finished fifth, but Leicester still. This is Claudio Ranieri magic aside. It's still Leicester City now. That's still pretty impressive.
3 games, Andrew.
If they won 2 more games, they would have. If they won 2 more games, they would have been in the top 4.
All I can say is that I am not here for Brendan Rodgers slander. I am here for David Moyes slander, but that's why I think I'm not a full-time West Ham fan. I'm just a fan of hopefully the Americans don't embarrass themselves and teams that play competent soccer football overall. And on that note, it is a tremendous close, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. For James Eddy, for Jonathan Priestler, all the way, I'm Terrell Jones. Thank you so much for watching. Wow, that got real deep at the end there. So here we are. Take it easy now for this episode of Americans in Great Soccer. Me and James can be back tomorrow for the quick recap. Maybe Jay people recap. It'll be a lot shorter than this episode, folks. But thanks for watching. Terrell Jones, Jonathan Priest, and James Eddy. We all signing out Americans in Great Soccer, especially us of the Melanin kind. Peace.